Before the world has a chance to speak to you, you must speak to yourself. Most men open their eyes and immediately surrender their minds to whatever noise is waiting for them. The weight of yesterday, the demands of others, the fears of what may come, all of it rushes in without resistance. By the time they stand up, their thoughts already belong to something outside of them. This is not waking, this is being summoned. I chose a different way to begin each day. I began it in stillness, not because the world was quiet, but because I needed to be. In that first moment of awareness, before movement, before words, before intention, I reminded myself that my mind was mine. Nothing else had a claim on it unless I allowed it. This single decision shaped everything that followed. Mental strength does not appear in moments of conflict alone. It is built in the moments no one sees. It is built when there is no audience, no pressure, no reward. The morning is such a moment. It is the first battlefield of the day, and whoever controls it controls the hours that come after. Most people wake and immediately look outward. They check what others want, what others think, what others expect. They allow their direction to be set by what they encounter. I chose to look inward first. I asked what I intended to carry through the day. Calm, awareness, purpose. These were not emotions, they were decisions. The mind is like water. If you pour it into any container, it takes that shape. If you leave it uncontained, it spills everywhere. The morning determines the container. If you begin with chaos, the mind becomes chaotic. If you begin with discipline, the mind becomes disciplined. The rest of the day simply follows that form. I did not fill my first moments with plans, worries, or rehearsals of conflict. I filled them with presence. I felt my breath. I felt my body. I felt the simple fact of being awake. This grounded me in what was real, not what was imagined. Many suffer from battles that exist only in their thoughts. Presence dissolves these battles before they start. To begin the day in command is to choose your state before circumstances choose it for you. You may not control what you will face, but you can control how you meet it. This is the foundation of mental strength. Without it, every challenge becomes heavier, every insult sharper, every delay more frustrating. I reminded myself each morning that nothing I would encounter had the power to decide who I was. Praise would not elevate me, criticism would not diminish me, success would not make me arrogant. Failure would not make me bitter. These things could inform me, but they would not define me. Many men believe motivation is what carries them through the day. Motivation is unstable. It rises and falls with mood and circumstance. Discipline is stable. It does not ask how you feel, it asks what must be done. Beginning the day with discipline sets a tone that motivation alone cannot sustain. I did not rush into movement. I allowed the mind to settle before the body followed. This created alignment. When the mind leads, the body follows with purpose. When the body leads, the mind is dragged behind by impulse. Alignment removes hesitation and reduces error. In those early moments, I also accepted what I could not control. The weather, the behavior of others, the unfolding of events, these were already decided beyond me. By accepting this before the day began, I removed resistance before it could form. Resistance is the seed of frustration. Frustration is the seed of anger. I chose to remove the seed. I did not fill my mind with expectations. Expectations create invisible demands on the world. When these demands are unmet, the mind feels wronged. I began the day with openness instead. Whatever would come, I would meet it as it was, not as I wished it to be. The first thoughts of the day are powerful. They echo through every decision that follows. If you begin with complaint, you will notice more to complain about. If you begin with gratitude, you will notice more to appreciate. I began with awareness. Awareness notices everything without clinging to anything. I also reminded myself of my direction, not in detailed plans but in purpose. Why I moved, why I trained, why I endured. Purpose is a compass. Without it, the mind wanders. When the mind wanders, it is easily provoked. When it has direction, small disturbances lose importance. Beginning the day in command does not require long rituals or complex practices, it requires intention. A single moment of choosing yourself before choosing the world. A single breath taken consciously. A single thought placed deliberately. Over time, this practice changed the way the day felt. Challenges no longer felt like interruptions. They felt like part of the path. People no longer felt like obstacles, they felt like elements of the environment. This shift alone reduced conflict and preserved energy. I noticed that those who woke in haste carried haste into everything. They spoke quickly, judged quickly, reacted quickly. Their lives were fast but shallow. By slowing the beginning, I slowed the entire day. In that slowness, depth appeared. Mental strength is not loud, it does not announce itself, it is steady, it is consistent, it is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are not at the mercy of the moment. Each morning, I claimed ownership of my mind before anyone else could reach for it. This ownership made me difficult to disturb and impossible to rush. When the day tried to pull me into noise, I returned to the stillness I had established at the start. This is how strength is built, not in dramatic acts but in simple, repeated choices. The choice to be present, the choice to be deliberate, the choice to lead your own mind. And remember this, the one who commands the first moment of the day commands the day itself. Many men walk through the world carrying an invisible bowl in their hands. They hold it out to everyone they meet, hoping it will be filled with approval, praise, and recognition. When it is filled, they feel strong. When it is empty, they feel small. They do not realize that by carrying this bowl, they have already given away their power. I chose to set mine down. The moment you allow others to decide your worth, you become dependent on their moods, their opinions, their understanding. Your mind becomes a reflection of their behavior rather than a creation of your discipline. This is not strength. This is quiet slavery. Mental strength begins the day you no longer ask the world to tell you who you are. I watched men rise and fall with every word spoken about them. A compliment lifted them high. A criticism crushed them low. They called this being sensitive. I called it being unstable. When your sense of self is built on the voices of others, it has no foundation of its own. I learned to build my worth in silence, through action rather than reaction. The work done when no one is watching is the only work that truly belongs to you. Praise may follow it or it may not, but the discipline that created it remains either way. Approval is a sweet sound, but it is also a trap. Once you begin to seek it, you begin to shape yourself to receive it. You say what is safe instead of what is true. You choose what is admired instead of what is right. Slowly, without noticing, you stop living your own path and start walking the path that others will applaud. I refuse to let my direction be decided by clapping hands. My purpose was not to be liked, it was to be precise. Precision does not always attract praise, sometimes it attracts resistance. I accepted this before it happened, so when it did not disturb me. The desire for validation is rooted in uncertainty. A man who knows his own value does not need it confirmed by others. He does not argue for his worth, he demonstrates it through consistency. He does not demand respect, he earns it quietly. I trained myself to listen to criticism without shrinking and to praise without swelling. Both are dangerous in their own way. Criticism can make you bitter, praise can make you careless. I treated both as information, not identity. When someone doubted me, I did not rush to correct them. Their doubt did not change my discipline. When someone admired me, I did not relax. Their admiration did not complete my work. This balance kept my mind steady while others moved between pride and shame. The need to be seen often leads to unnecessary conflict. Men argue not to reach truth but to protect their image. They grow angry not because they are wronged but because they feel unseen. When you release the need to be seen, many battles disappear on their own. I also released the need to be understood. Not everyone will understand your path and they do not need to. Explanation is often another form of seeking approval. I learned to let my actions speak in a language that does not require translation. Detachment from validation does not mean isolation. It means connection without dependence. I could walk among others, learn from them, respect them, and still remain whole without their agreement. This created a quiet freedom that few experience. There is a certain peace that comes when you stop trying to impress. The body relaxes. The mind clears, your movements become natural instead of performative. You no longer act for an audience, you act for alignment with your own standard. This internal standard became my guide. I measured myself against the discipline I had set, not against the opinions I heard. When I failed to meet my own standard, I corrected myself without anger. When I met it, I continued without pride. This kept my growth steady and my emotions balanced. Many people are exhausted because they live two lives. One is who they are, the other is who they want to appear to be. Maintaining this second life requires constant attention and defense. Letting it go returns energy to where it belongs. I noticed that when I no longer needed approval, insults lost their sting. An insult is only powerful when it threatens something you are trying to protect. When your worth is not up for negotiation, there is nothing to defend. This does not make you cold, it makes you clear. You can still appreciate kind words, you can still learn from harsh ones, but neither will move you from your center. The world will always offer opinions. Some will lift you, some will weigh you down. You get to choose whether you carry them or let them fall where they land. I chose to walk light. Freedom from validation also sharpened my focus. I no longer wasted energy wondering how I was perceived. That energy went into refinement of skill, strength of mind, and steadiness of purpose. Progress became faster because distraction became smaller. A man who needs nothing from the crowd is difficult to control. He cannot be bribed with praise or threatened with rejection. He stands on something deeper than acceptance. He stands on commitment to his own path. This commitment becomes a quiet confidence, not the kind that announces itself, but the kind that remains when everything else is stripped away. It does not depend on attention. It does not fade in silence. It simply is. And remember this, when your worth comes from within, no voice outside you can take it away. Awareness is the blade that never dulls. Most men move through their days half asleep, dragged by impulse, pushed by habit, pulled by emotion. They believe they are choosing, but they are only responding. The world touches them and they move. A word is spoken and they react. A challenge appears and they flare. This is not living, this is being moved. I learned to wake up inside the moment instead of being carried by it. The first step was simple but not easy. I began to watch myself, not with judgment, not with pride, but with curiosity. I watched how my breath changed when I was irritated. I watched how my thoughts rushed when I felt challenged. I watched how my body tightened when I felt threatened. This watching alone created a small distance between the feeling and the action. In that distance, something powerful appeared: choice. Most anger is not chosen, it is inherited from the moment. The mind borrows it without asking, but when you see the emotion as it forms, you no longer borrow it, you examine it, you ask what it wants and whether it deserves your obedience. Often, it does not. I discovered that emotions speak loudly but briefly. If you answer them immediately, they stay. If you listen without answering, they pass. Awareness is the difference between being a doorway and being a wall. When you become the wall, emotion knocks and then leaves. People believe strength is the ability to feel nothing. This is a misunderstanding. Strength is the ability to feel everything and still choose your path. Awareness does not numb you, it sharpens you. It allows you to sense the full weight of a moment without being crushed by it. When someone tried to provoke me, I did not rush to defend myself. I watched the impulse to defend rise like a wave. I felt its energy. I noticed how it tried to pull words from my mouth and tension into my hands, and then I did nothing. The wave broke on its own. This practice changed the way I saw conflict. I realized that most confrontations are fueled by mutual unawareness. One reacts, the other reacts back, and the fire grows. When one person remains aware, the fire loses oxygen, it flickers and dies. I also became aware of the stories my mind told me. When something went wrong, my thoughts rushed to explain it. They disrespected you, you are being treated unfairly, you must respond. These stories felt convincing, but awareness revealed them as interpretations, not facts. Once I saw that, their grip loosened. Awareness turns assumptions into questions. Instead of "this is an attack," it becomes "is this truly an attack?" Instead of "I am being wronged," it becomes "what is actually happening here?" These questions create space. In that space, anger cannot grow unchecked. I practiced awareness in stillness and in motion. When I walked, I felt each step. When I spoke, I listened to my own words. When I trained, I noticed each movement. This constant return to the present moment anchored my mind. A mind anchored in the present is difficult to disturb because it is not lost in imagined futures or replayed pasts. Most anger is born in time that does not exist. It comes from replaying what has already happened or fearing what might happen next. Awareness pulls you back to what is happening now. In the present, there is rarely as much to be angry about as the mind suggests. I learned to become aware of my own patterns. Certain situations always triggered me. Certain words always tightened my chest. Seeing these patterns gave me an advantage. When I recognized the beginning of a familiar reaction, I could step out of it before it completed itself. This is how impulse becomes choice. You cannot choose what you do not see. Awareness is the seeing. I noticed that when I was tired, hungry, or distracted, my awareness weakened. In those moments, reaction returned more easily. This taught me that mental strength is supported by physical discipline. The body and the mind are not separate. Care for one and you strengthen the other. Awareness also deepened my understanding of others. Instead of seeing only their actions, I began to sense their state. Fear behind anger, insecurity behind arrogance, confusion behind aggression. This did not excuse harmful behavior, but it explained it. Explanation softens the heart and steadies the mind. When you see the source of another's behavior, you stop taking it personally. And when you stop taking things personally, anger loses much of its power. I also became aware of the small moments that shaped the large ones. A hurried step, a careless word, a distracted glance. These small things accumulate and set the tone for bigger conflicts. By being aware of them, I prevented many larger problems from ever forming. Awareness is not a single act, it is a way of being. It is a constant return to the question, what is happening within me right now? This question is a compass. It always points back to control. There were times when anger still appeared. I did not judge myself for this. Awareness is not perfection, it is honesty. When anger came, I saw it, I named it, I felt it, and because I did not hide from it, it did not hide inside me, it moved through and left. The more I practiced, the more natural this became. Awareness stopped being something I did and started being something I was. Reaction slowed, choice expanded. The mind became a place of clarity instead of conflict. The world did not become kinder, people did not stop provoking, circumstances did not become easier, but my relationship to them changed. I no longer lived at the edge of my emotions, I lived at the center of my awareness. This is the quiet strength that few develop. It does not announce itself, it does not seek recognition. It simply remains steady and present no matter what moves around it. And remember this, when you can see your emotions clearly, you no longer have to follow them blindly.